Alright guys, finally this video is live. So today we're going to be talking about flash photography. Now chances are if you're watching this video and you're just new to photography, this might be overwhelming, but this video will try to summarize to you on why you might want to go for a beginner flash versus a pro flash. What are the main differences and what do you get from the price disparity between these two? So let's find out. Alright guys, before we begin, my name is Rodric and I'm a freelance photographer here in Malaysia, shooting mostly events, photos, weddings, and even videos. And sometimes you see me on YouTube. So guys, today we're going to be having 3 different Godox models, 2 of which I own and one of the AD200 I borrowed it from a friend. So to begin with, let's look into the lowest price range of flash that I have. And this is the Godox TT520 Mark II. So the Godox TT520 is indeed one of the more budget-friendly ones, costing about 160 ringgit. So that's going to set you back about 30 to 35 American dollars. Now, this flash is one of what we call a manual flash. If you're new to this channel and you're new to photography, let me explain on manual flash versus auto flash. Pretty much on how when you dial your settings for autofocus versus manual focus. So pretty much the same applies flash. So let's look into manual flash and what does manual flash actually mean. So if you look at the back of the Godox TT520 Mark II, you can see that once you power it up, there is a blue color indication to what levels they are. So when you need a higher amount of light into your image, you simply press the button plus and it would actually go up in level. Now, there is a very inherent weakness to this of the TT520 is a deal breaker for me, and hence why the reason why I buy the V1 in the first place is because it's vertical shooting. The photos end up looking like this. So you get like a huge flash that's coming in from the left side of your frame and it just subsides to the right side of the frame and there's nothing you can do about it. Bounce card is here, it goes in this way. So then the flash would still look like this. It will look like as though here is brighter and then here the flash loses its power. There is nothing you can do in Lightroom to save this. And it could be a skill issue, but maybe some of you in the comment section have gotten different results. But I'm telling you right off the bat, as an event photographer, this is so infuriating. There's no way you can get a pleasing looking image when you're shooting in with the 520 that's vertical. Unless if I'm doing it wrong and my photos look like that. But I would not recommend you buying this should you want to go nightlife photography. Because it's so dark, you don't exactly have a beauty light that's as on this top. So what is a beauty light, right? So if you realize your camera needs to see first before it nails its autofocus. But what if it's at night? The camera wouldn't be able to understand where the subject is and the camera wouldn't be able to lock focus. So even in my experience, I thought I want to be a smart ass. So I shoot at f6 for all of my Jack 6.3. From all of my nighttime photography, it just doesn't work. It's not sharp. It's not nailing that critical focus that it needs to because the gear TT520 simply does not have a light that enables your camera to then rack focus. And once you click, the light goes off, the flash shoots. So you don't necessarily have that feature, but it's present in both the V1 and the AD200 models. So again, if you're starting out, when you're purchasing this flash, do not ever consider shooting in nightlife photography, nighttime photography. So why I would recommend this is because out of all the AD200, the Godox V1, which in fact doesn't even come with this dome, there are certain amount of accessories that you need to purchase right after they're off to actually make it look pleasing. So this right off from the box, it has a modifier which you can use. So this is what we call a bounce card and it's pretty small, right? So it's not very large. It needs to be a bigger one if you can, mount something up to get a really nice diffusion here. This is actually a pretty small bounce card, but it gets the work done. So throughout this review, I will also be posting sample photos of what my previous work looked like, just for you to get an understanding on how I take my photos and how I've used the devices to achieve these kind of photos, and are those the kind of results you'll be looking for this whole time. With this bounce card, it also has a plastic thing here. So what happens is that it cuts out light a fair bit, just a little bit, and it makes your image look nice instead of you flashing directly like this, which is not recommended. But flashing it like this upwards towards the sky, you get this bounce card reflecting light back into your subject. So this is what I primarily use for the TT520 configuration. This is what I always run on my camera. Venues with white walls, then chances are you might want to rotate your flash to be pointing towards the wall. It uses AA batteries. AA batteries are rechargeable and exchangeable, and you can purchase them any convenience shops that you want. And they pretty much have a juice to last you through for the full event, but you must be very mindful on the quality of the AA's that you choose. Should you choose really weak brands or off brands, you'll probably not be able to start your flash, or even maybe not even take a photo, or take a few flash and then it's out of juice. So purchase high quality, high milliamperes capacity, and you should be fine. So should you run out of batteries, it's very easy to swap batteries. Unlike these two, where they have internal built batteries in which you need to buy their proprietary batteries from Godox themselves, which is going to cost you much more money. And as well as a pro tip, so coming in from experienced photographers, if you're watching this, there are models like from the AD200 that it comes with this master that you can now configure up to A to E channels to then link different flash models. So I understand in this table here, everything is Godox. However, this doesn't work with this. So you can communicate this slave to the AD200 and to this V1. It works flawlessly. So you can do like a 2-point lighting system, but it doesn't work for this one. So if you're planning to use this for off-camera flash, you will have to resort to using the stock slave, which is included. However, this can actually go up to 4 channels. And if you want to purchase more of these TT520s, you can, up to 4. Put it on your camera and you can run it as OCF. However, this does not communicate with other models. They only communicate with the TT520 so far I've checked. Alright, so now we're going to go into the second category, which is into the Godox V1. Every photographer's dream basically to own this. Wedding photographers, event photographers around me in Malaysia all swear by using this Godox V1 for multiple reasons. So how much does this cost? This actually costs about 800 ringgit here, or 200 American dollars should you buy it in the US. $30 and $200. Big difference? Yes, but what do you get in return? You get an LCD screen. The V1, it's a complex flash. It is meant for professionals and not meant for people who are new. And even for me, as a seasoned photographer, I actually struggle to understand this flash. So there are different modes and menus that's available in this flash that is just not intuitive to navigate around. There's meter/feet, there's AF, I'm not sure what that is, standby function, just in case if you're idling this thing, and then RX standby. Again, I'm not very clear on what all of this does. And if you look into like the menu, you can see that there are ETTL, and what that means is like auto flash, and which you set and forget. So when you set the aperture bracket on your camera, it will then flash appropriately to give you a good image. So here are some sample event photos that I've taken using the Godox V1. So one of my major gripes about this thing, again, I would like to reinforce, is the menu systems are not intuitive to look around. If you're out there shooting in for your event and you just want to make your image negative 0.3 on your exposure metering, it's not that easy. Or should I say the learning curve, it's steeper with this flash. You get a modeling lamp. So this is a modeling lamp. So why modeling lamps are critical? Recall earlier when I mentioned about this TT520 not being very useful for nighttime photography in mostly low lit situations like wedding receptions, wedding dance floors, DJ places, pubs, because your camera can't see to know what's in focus or not, whether your subject's in focus. So this is where the modeling light comes in. Modeling light enables your camera to then see your subject, right? Example I'm shining on here. The camera then be able to recognize this part and knows where to autofocus on your subject. And when you fire the flash, the model light turns off for a few seconds. Example like this. There we go. And that is how we take nighttime photography using the V1. Now let's look into what it comes with in the box. So you don't exactly have a stir. So unlike buying the 520, you have stir. You don't actually have it for the V1. It is available for a separate purchase at a higher price. Example, purchasing one of these. A form of modifier, you would expect a more expensive V1 to have one as well. Only comes in just like this. It doesn't have an accessory. Accessory which I really do recommend you getting right off the bat from getting the V1 is this magnetic dome. Now this would then even your photo out as just firing flash from like this and like this. Now if you switch on the mono lamp, you then realize, it looks nice, doesn't it? Now honestly, the ETTL function is a breeze. I really love shooting ETTL. However, please be mindful that ETTL is an automated feature. So you don't get full flexibility of changing certain parameters unless if you go into deep dive and change the exposure to negative, say 0.3 or -1. Right, so the battery of the V1 is proprietary and you probably will need only one, in my most honest opinion, as it lasts really, really long. And it comes with its own charger. And I think that if you are feeling very doubtful, you might want to purchase a second unit set, go ahead, but I just think one battery should get you by. And of course, how can I forget the major difference of this V1 is into the circular flash. Look at that. So this circular flash is very different from the rectangular flash. So one of the main advantage for this is that it produces really stunning photos, okay? So if you're shooting in vertical, if you're shooting in like this, okay, like this, to fire the flash like this will encompass the whole image. But again, I would almost recommend you purchasing this to put on your V1 and you shoot vertical like this, it would yield really good results. So V1, perfect for vertical shooting, horizontal shooting, perfect for nightlife photography, and has ETTL, so it's automated. The cons to it is the menu system suck. I really hate working with the menu system. It's so buried deep and the buttons just feels weird, you know, counterintuitive. And now onto the last bit, onto the AD200 Pro. So the AD200 Pro costs about 2,000 MYR, Malaysia ringgit, which will set you back about $500. $30, $200, $500. We are going up pretty steep in price. The AD200 actually is a strobe light. It doesn't actually live on a hot shoe mount like these two flashes. It is meant to be a studio light. Studio light is where you would often shoot in very high apertures such as f8, f11, and you really need high power coming through to your image. Firing the flash with the AD200 yield photo like this. So with this in mind, that comes to the end of this video, and I hope that I've actually disclosed the major pros and cons in my experience 3 years into using these equipments for my flash photography business. And I will almost recommend any beginner to start with the 520 because how easy it operates. It comes with accessories such as the slave, and it comes with a bounce card. You only need AA batteries, which there should be plenty of them in your house anyways. And if you're shooting in professional for events, chances are you might want a TTL flash instead of a manual flash, then go for the V1. And the AD200 Pro lies in its own league because this is a studio flash. And you need to check with your workflow on how much light you need in your scene. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions on these flashes, leave down in the comment section below. If you find any of my results differ from yours, let me know so that we can discuss about it. Maybe I might have done different in my experiment to yield these results. So with this in mind, thank you so much for watching. I hope I've educated you enough about flashes and how you can kickstart your flash photography business. And I'm hoping that you can find joy and prosperity in shooting for your nightlife photography. Hence, that's all folks. Thank you so much for watching and I'll catch you in the next episode. Cheers.